helping out communities for all sorts of different things. We've been doing it well before we had Social Security. And so, you know, if there needs to be help within a community, that gentleman that got hurt, I'm sure he'd get his help.
Ms. Gillen, what do you say to all this?
Well, I will go back to the fact that we've just spent, had a lot of reports from hospitals in Montana, urban and rural hospitals, that have come to the legislature and said, you know what, we are experiencing double-digit increases in charity care and bad debt, and we are at a breaking point. And this is particularly important for our rural hospitals because they do not have the diversity of clientele, and one major non-accident where someone can't pay can be devastating. I do think that the efforts to get more people covered by insurance is the best way to go. And I do think that we need to talk about reduction of health care costs. But there are many other factors at play, and one of the most important things is, and I'm a problem solver, I've worked on expanding workforces in health care, that we can get it done, but we need to start working on the implementation of a broader insurance coverage instead of voting 33 times in the U.S. House to repeal something. We need to move on. We need to figure out what can work and what can't work, and that's what I'll go to Washington to do, is to listen to those ideas on how we need to fix it, but more importantly, to get more people the health care that they need and deserve.
Thank you all. Sure.
Mr. Kaiser, do you support or oppose the proposal by Representative Paul Ryan to convert Medicare to a voucher program for folks who are younger than 55? I'd be interested in the reasons for your support of or opposition to the voucher program. And if you oppose Representative Ryan's plan, what specifically would you offer as a proposal to bolster the financial health and longevity of Medicare?
I do like his plan. Everyone currently in Medicare, no changes. And anyone 55 or younger, the age will increase. And then also I would look at kind of a means testing. You have individuals that, Mr. Daines, who would probably not need Medicare or even Social Security. And in that he's paid into it, but if we look at it to solve the problems, because right now the government basically took from the piggy bank out of Social Security, and now we've got a problem. But to fix it, we look to a means test.
Okay. Ms. Gillen?
I do not support the Ryan program to change Medicare as we have known it. It's really important. Senior citizens in Montana, they've paid into that. These benefits and programs, they've earned them and they've paid into it. So I'm very troubled that this proposal of Ryan, which I believe that Mr. Daines supports and Mr. Kaiser supports, would basically require seniors to use a voucher system, increasing their out-of-pocket costs by $6,000 to $7,000, and also putting them in the position where they have to negotiate with insurance companies. Frankly, that is out of touch with what seniors in Montana want. They want someone who'll stand up and figure out how to protect and strengthen Medicare, and I think it can be done. There are incentives that we can use to get more people to use preventative aspects of Medicare. Seniors are living longer, they're living healthier, and I think that a problem-solving approach instead of destroying something or dismantling something is what Montana seniors want and deserve.
Mr. Daines?
Yeah, to be clear, we've got a crisis right now coming and looming with the Medicare system. The Medicare trustees just projected that within 12 years, the Medicare system will go bankrupt. 10,000 baby boomers now go on the Medicare rolls every day. So what we have here is a problem that's festering and needs to be dealt with. And we need to do two things. Number one, we need to ensure that we preserve the existing Medicare system for seniors. So the Ryan plan says that if you're 55 or older, there'll be no change to that system. But the second thing we need to do is ensure that we save the system to have this safety net in place for the next generation. And that is why we need to have good, solid dialogues and bring some bipartisan discussions together here around how do we save the Medicare system for the future generations. I think what Congressman Paul Ryan's put on the table here is a great starting point. I support the concepts that he's laid out there. I would like to see, for those who disagree with the specifics of his plan, what is their specific plan that they're going to lay out right now that's going to save the Medicare system? And keep in mind, for those that the next generation, they can still choose to stay on the government system. There'll be an oversight board that would have different private groups in addition to the government program today that they can choose from. And I think we're going to have some conversations about solving this problem here, or we're 12 years away from a system that will be bankrupt.
Right. You say you support the concept of Representative Ryan's proposal. What kind of concerns do you have about that proposal?
Well,
Where do you think it falls
there's
short?
always going to be some specifics on that, looking at the different types of options available for the next generation on that. But in general, I think he's on the right track right now to put together a meaningful discussion, a meaningful solution here that really solves. This is a mathematics problem right now that we're spending a lot more than we're taking in. And we need to cut from the platitudes and the generalities and so forth there and put specific counter-proposals around how we're going to save Medicare. I'm proud of the fact that Paul Ryan's put a plan in place, and we're starting to have a good discussion about it.
Ms. Gillen, how would you pay for continuing Medicare?
Well, I think I want to go beyond the issue of simply paying for Medicare. We need to remember that senior citizens today and senior citizens in the future, they have paid into the plan. Sometimes there's a perception that this is totally a government giveaway, and it's not. People have been paying into the plans. And as we look at the long-time fiscal responsibility, fiscal stability, we have to look at it in a broader context. In our state, in Montana, people may not be aware that without Medicare, more than 25% of our senior citizens would be living below the poverty program. That's why I don't support the Ryan plan, and I don't support a voucher system, because I think it would put an additional burden, financial burden, for health care on senior citizens when they've already paid into the plan. And I totally agree with bipartisan getting together and talking about how we can fix this. I've done it with insurance companies before, with insurance mandates for autism, but we have to have realistic, centrist proposals to start with, not ideological opinions, which I think is what Ryan's approach is with the voucher system.
But I don't think that you're addressing the question, though, of how you would pay for it. What is your proposal to pay for Medicare to make it financially healthy into the future?
Well, that is a great question, and I have addressed the issue that some of the challenges with Medicare is that people are living longer, and some of the most significant expenses or costs are in the last 6 months. What some of the folks who have been think tanks looking at Medicare indicate that a greater emphasis on preventative health care could have a significant impact later in life, doing away with those costs. The other thing is that we need to look at whether we can deal with administrative issues or administrative costs associated with Medicare. In a state like Montana, let's face it, a lot of our rural hospitals really serve senior citizens, and the Medicare costs may be higher. I think that if we roll up our sleeves and think not having a voucher program, not doing cost shifting, getting more people insured, that Medicare costs will begin over the long term to turn down.
Will they take care of themselves in 12 years, though?
No, I don't think that they'll take care of themselves. But what you need to do is to elect proven problem solvers who will go there and recognize that we need to start from the center and figure out how over the long term we can get a healthier senior citizen with the preventative care, which has been estimated to save not just millions but billions of dollars over the lifetime of someone who is on Medicare.
Sure, can I put on that too?
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's worth pointing out as well that remember when Obamacare was passed, in terms of this term of cost shifting, they took $700 billion out of Medicare to fund Obamacare. So it's the Medicare crisis that we are facing in the future is